Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now, I won't have read the comments from the first video on the Savia if you saw it, commented, whatever, before I filmed this. But what I do know is that we did look at the Savia and it was shooting super low joules. And the reason for that was Jack had actually switched out the valve for, I think it might be like an RA Tech N pass. So if you're wondering why this thing was so low powered, then that's the reason why. So it's not in its original configuration in the bolt. So I just wanted to clear that up. That part of the video was incorrect, but at the time to me it was unknown. He may have told me on Discord one night, but you know, in and out it goes, out of the brain. So today we're actually going to be looking at the Hopup unit at this thing and see what's going on there and the adjuster. Just coming upstairs to, record some video, I managed to find the little brass piece that went ping off the Double Eagle Ghetto Blaster. So I think that's what we're going to go to. We're going to try that and see if it's better, like a more simplistic MWS adjuster here. So hopefully I've got the right Allen keys. Oh, bloody hell, look at that, first try. And we're going to see if we can switch this out, because obviously the one that's in there doesn't do what it needs to do. Oh, that's nice and loose, so I'd have to go find the tool. Before we do this, let's pop the receiver, take out the front pin if I can, and we'll pull this thing apart. So there's the lower for the Savia, and we'll pull the bolt out. You can see an extensive amount of grease on this thing, and it's something that I see quite common on MWSs coming in for service or upgrade or anything like that. The bolts are just caked in grease, and the reason why you shouldn't do this is because grease is, to a degree sticky. I know it's a lubricant, but things stick to it. All dust, anything like that is going to stick to all that excess grease. So I'm going to be working on like a full MWS guide. To if you're new to the MWS or you just want to pick up new things, I'm going to be doing a comprehensive guide on everything you need to know about an MWS, but we'll get there when we can. So I pulled the rail off. We can pull the hop unit out. Now the arm does seem a little bit different to a normal arm, but that could be due to this hop. I mean, I'm not too sure. We're gonna have to check compatibility, because I'm sure many of you want to know. There's also nowhere to screw in an adjuster, so we might be a bit scuppered here. I'm not entirely sure how this thing is fixed in place then, unless it's this screw just here. So the whole video might be up in tatters already. Let's start with a 2mm. Is it 2mm? Yeah, it is. So already we're running into compatibility issues with this thing, but this info might be useful to you if you've purchased one. So this wheel, so that's where it's broken. So this sits in as a screw, and the screw has actually snapped off. So that is a bit of an issue. So what you would do is you'd have the arm that would sit in this channel here. As you wind this screw out, it winds out from the thread, and that's how it's adjusted. So as quick as this video started, might be as quick as it ends. So compatibility wise, it's not looking good. So we might be running into a bit of an issue here. I was hoping we could just fit, like a normal adjuster. I don't see anything holding that in. I'm guessing it's just press fit. I was hoping we'd just be able to put like a normal MWS adjuster in, or maybe we'd be able to put the Max model in, just something to get this gun working, because this the hop on this gun was actually broken straight out the box. I know Jack did message whoever he bought it from about it. I can't remember if he got it from JK Army or somewhere else. So we can pull this out here. We can have a look at the barrel. So you can see the arm is different. Now, just so to compare, This is like a normal hop arm, and you can see it situates very differently, so a very big step. You know, we could negate that by moving to something like this, but the problem with that is there's nothing in here for it to screw into. So it literally would be free floating and unable to be fixed in place. It looks like this just screws in on the housing itself. So you screw that in, it steps up here. That screw sits in this little divot here and then puts pressure on these guide rails of what it slides into. So it looks like we're going to be having a bit of an issue with this build. Maybe this is something that we can replicate, but it doesn't look too... It's not actually that complex of a part, to be honest. It's going to be a bit of a ball ache getting that out if it's in quite tight. Is it in tight? I don't think it is in tight, actually. I think I am sort of moving that round here. I'm trying to video this, yeah, so I can turn this out here. It looks like it moves. So this screw, this broken thread is extractable. The only way I can think around this problem is manufacturing this out of a harder wearing material. We can obviously take measurements off this. The knurling situates on this part here, which is spring loaded, which is what gives you the clicks, which isn't a hard part to... I mean, all the dimensions on this aren't difficult. That doesn't help Jack in his current situation, and doesn't help anybody else who's bought one of these that's had similar issues. So I think we could get the screw out if we put our minds to it. It's not like so stuck in there it's going to be difficult to extract. It's going to be easy to extract. And then of course this part's going to have to be remanufactured. The problem that we'll have, which I'll show you, so this is like standard MWS spec parts. Try not to lose anything here. So this is your normal adjuster. I won't put the plunger, which was, there it is, in there. This is your normal adjuster. This would slide into there, and then literally you'd have a screw. So this part would be sort of situated. You'd have like a block, and then the screw would go through and hold this in place. The other issue there is how they've actually modelled the receiver. So normally there's obviously like a bit of a cut out here, a bit of an alleviation. In fact, no, there's not, is there? What am I talking about? I might be talking a load of crap here. It just looks funny. It looks funny on... no, I think we'd be okay. I think that would slide in there. That would go in there, and then the normal arm would situate under there. So that's very doable. We can actually try and test this theory. If we can get this apart, so we'll pull apart the original bits here. This is just like a normal MWS style hop unit. It's just the arms modified to be different. So we can pull this off for now. We can get the double eagle unit. We'll just situate this in place. I do have the nub from it from one of the last videos. So that would go in there. That would go on there. We'll use the O-ring from the DE one. Let's try not to mix parts up here. So we've got the O-ring from the DE one. We can slide that over. Oh, God, come on. Fit over. Spin that around. So that holds in place. Would we get away with it? So that would go in like so. there is a tolerance difference, so we can't actually get that unit in there. So he's not looking good for Jack. So we'll take that O-ring off. We'll take these parts off, and what we'll do is we'll use the original housing. The nub is very reminiscent of like a Maple Leaf Omega nub, which many companies have obviously copied that design. It's not a bad design at all. No, what am I doing? Let's take that out. Can we put the original hop arm in from the Double Eagle? Yes, we can. So there is some parts compatibility going on here. However, because of how they've done the receiver, that's the biggest problem. Slide that in. That should go back into there. So there is a tolerance difference in the parts. You then situate that part back on. That gives you a normal MWS style arm. Will that fit in? No. So you'll see there's a spatial difference. So as far as I can tell, with the SAVIA PCC, let's try and lever this up here. There is no compatibility with the barrel and the hop. Sorry, not the barrel and the hop, the hop unit and the adjuster. So we can pull this back off here, take that arm off. Why they've done it this way, I'm not entirely sure. I never understand why these companies go, oh, we can do it better than Marui, and then literally sort of place themselves outside the market for that reason. Because what we all want is we want parts compatibility. So this is where Double Eagle does it so well, because they just get very close to the Marui design, and most of your parts will fit. With the SAVIA, unfortunately, we're kind of stuck with using their system. Now, I'm pretty sure a Titan nub would work in this. You know, your hop and your barrels are Marui specs, that's not there. So you'd have to use the hop housing. You'd have to use the hop arm and their barrel setup here. You could obviously machine this down if you wanted to short a barrel. And yeah, that would interact with this. So this part's different. So I know I'm repeating myself a lot here, guys. I'm going like through the thought process. So the only real option we've got here for Jack is basically to remake this adjuster if he can't get one from where he bought it from. Now, I think SAVIA needs to make these parts available. This screw doesn't want to come out. I think I'd really have to like punch something in to grab it and then spin it out there. The wheel obviously goes on there. This part's made of brass, which means it's very it's obviously very soft if it's broken so easy. So yeah, we're kind of scuppered, aren't we? Kind of scuppered. Right, let's slide this back in. I do like that it sits in the rails, which is quite cool, so it can't like drop out the bottom. You slide it forward, you lock that screw in place. So it's not a horrendous design, just it's how they've executed it that's the bad part. I think with this you'd have to put the hop in first. Oh, SAVIA, we're off to such a good start. You have to put the hop arm down like that. Then slide the hop adjuster in, like so. Which isn't going to want to do it because the part is broken, of course. and you'd screw it in place. Sucks. This sucks. I hate this because, I mean, if this was my gun, I'd be like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to re-engineer this now, and make one-off stuff just to get the gun working. It's not the end of the world. It just delays things. So I was hoping we could take this setup out. We could fit this spare double eagle set that I've got because I fitted a max into the double eagle, and we could get the gun up and rolling again and just progress in terms of time. So it's one of them. Obviously, I'm going to leave this apart because I'm going to pull that part out, try and extract the screw, find out what the threading is, remodel the part, and maybe if it's not something that I put into, you know, production, I could always just get, you know, a single part made and Jack's gun could be back in business, and obviously that part would be made out of stainless or something nice that's not going to snap so easy. So yeah, thanks for coming along on the ride with me. While we're here, we'll just take a quick look at what's going on with the bolts. So we're on a 2mm, I think that's 2.5, stupid. What did I do with 2mm? There it is. 2mm Allen key. We'll spin this out. So if you're thinking about buying a Savia, this wouldn't put me off buying a Savia, but I'd also have in the back of my mind that, you know, if that part does indeed break, then I'm kind of screwed short term. Long term, you know, it's not a complex part. It would be easy to produce. I mean, I reckon I could replicate that in CAD within 5 minutes. It would just be nice to give the user the ability to go, well, I don't want to use that crappy hop unit. I want to use my own one. Why they've done it, I don't know. Maybe there's a spatial difference with the upper receiver because of the difference in mags and stuff this thing uses. I'm going to pull this quickly apart just so we can see what Jack was up to when he was fiddling with this. I think he said that he took the original nozzle valve out and then he couldn't get the original nozzle valve back in, so he popped in an impasse which looks like an RA-Tech one, and I've never been a fan of these RA-Tech impasses because they self-adjust. So this is obviously wound quite a bit out, so that's why it was doing 0.4 joules. Maybe we should grab an impasse and throw one in, so bear with me. Right, Jaeger impasse, let's see if it's compatible with the Savia. What do I do with that valve? There we go. I can situate this on. Please be Marui compatible, Savia. It looks like it's going in, but it looks like it's gone tight. Similar to the double eagles. So the problem we're going to have is just the tolerance inside the nozzle is narrower than what the Maruis are. Now this is easily rectifiable, is that the word I'm looking for, where you just sort of slightly file down the end pass so it sits inside, which is what you have to do on the double eagles, unless you're switching the nozzle out. So we'll leave that as a job for another day. We'll put his RA-Tech one back in. We'll leave that adjusted all the way out to see what we get. It does look like it fits. Okay, they've added like a rib on the back piece here, so I think the one side would be fine because of how the impasse is modelled on the top there, but on the bottom you just have to trim this off. If you can hear Thomas crying, I do apologise. He wants to get in the room, which ain't happening today. So we'll slide this in, make sure it lines up with the hole like that. I honestly think in his situation, I'm more disappointed than probably Jack will be, because I had such high hopes for this little thing. And, you know, many of these problems can be fixed, but not if they've designed it a completely different way to a normal MWS. Now, I don't know why they wouldn't just make that the same nozzle size as the MWS. It baffles me sometimes what these companies are thinking when they do it. Okay, bolts. We'll put that back in, slide it in here. You've seen me do this on MWS's a bunch of times. We slide that in the back. We pull the silver part backwards like so. Slide the little captivating plastic piece in. Once that's in, we slide the nozzle forward. Put this part on the top. We take our 2 screws. Put one in on the front here, if I can get it in. And one on the back. People tell me they always struggle with the bolts doing this. And I've shown you guys many times how to do it. So you want to do it this way. Put the plastic piece on the top. Put the screws in. Secure the screws down. Like so. Make sure it's not too tight sometimes so it can slide. Once that's done, you push this piece to the rear, slide your spring in the back. It's literally how it's designed. And you take a flathead screwdriver and you just push up and let it sit on that little notch, and job done. Slide the bolt back in, put that back on the lower. And we're going to test now what the power difference is from the RA Tech MPass set really low to all the way open. We're going to need 0.3 to compare it to our last test. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Propane, 0.3 gram BBs. That's what the chrono's set to. Loading around in. What do we get? We get 0.932 joules. And we instantly jump up to 1.249 joules. 1.244 joules, 1.25 joules, 1.229, and 1.258. Seems a little bit more lively as well. So it performs great. It's very smooth. That propane stinks. I was hoping we were going to be on a wing today, and I know I've said this probably like 60,000 times in this video, but I was so happy to and excited to get these parts in and get the gun up and running, and we can progress with the build further. So one or two things needs to happen. Jack needs to get a replacement part from the retail where he bought it, or I spend a couple of minutes redesigning that part and then getting it machined, which is probably going to be expensive, but you know, when you've got no other choice, what else do you want to do? So thanks for tuning into part 2 of the Savia. Maybe this is going to give you a bit more leeway to yes or no whether to pick this thing up. I still think it's a good product. If that part hadn't failed, we'd be money. We'd just be upgrading it as we would. Barrel, hot rubber, see if the tightener works. If it does, great. It does look very similar. We'd have to modify an MPass to fit slightly, so we'd just basically take this and the straight edges on these 3 sides, we just slightly file them down. We keep doing it until it fits nice and smooth and doesn't bind, and we'd be on the way to getting this back to Jack. So back to the drawing board, unfortunately. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the links in the description. Join the Discord if you haven't already. And as always, from me and Benj, we're under 25 minutes. We'll see you in the next one.